Welcome to Assets and Arbitrage. We are on episode 203 on this Saturday, beautiful Saturday afternoon. Running a little bit late, technical difficulties, but we are here. As we will always say, be stacking, be stacking, be stacking. Whether it is your Satoshi, your ounces, you could be stacking your real estate, you could be stacking your stock portfolio, so on and so on. So we just like to stay stacking. That is, that is our motto: stay stacking, stay stacking, stay stacking. So I am here with you today. We got another solo show. First and foremost, we want to give a update on my beautiful wife, Erin. She is now off of bed rest and able to move about the house. So we're actually downstairs today in the living room so she could sit on her comfortable recliner. And we're just down here. She's doing a little bit of work and research, as am I. And we're gonna get through this show. But she's sitting next to me so she can help me out with some information if I flub something or if she has something that she wants to chime in on. But she's not quite ready for the camera action yet. That's what she tells me. I think she's ready, but she says she's not ready for camera. So she is doing well. She is well ahead of doctor's pace, wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well ahead. So she's moving fairly quickly. So no problems here. Everything else is going pretty good. We have a show where we're going to talk about a few different things. There's a lot of news this week, so it was hard to kind of put it under one umbrella. So I left some stuff out, I kept some stuff in, and so we'll do it like that. So we'll wait a little bit. I get a couple people in the room, and then we'll go in. What else could we talk about real quick that I came across? Just we can always start with the Bitcoin price. Let's start right there. Bitcoin price right now, as I pull it up, is 69,341.70. So I am pulling that up on my chart here. So last week we had a great show on Friday. If you guys remember, Bitcoin was running. It was going about 71, 72. Gold and silver closed very high. Silver closed over 34, and gold closed close to 2,800. So we had a great Friday last Friday, and we all were very happy and excited to be there. To say I did take a little profits last weekend. This is not financial advice, but I just felt right there for Bitcoin retesting that all-time high. We know how that goes. A lot of times that gets rejected. So took little profits just to take some chips off the table right there around, high 72s. And as you've seen, it's been pushed back down to the 69s as I'm watching the chart. And you see, it's not about timing the market sometimes, but you see a good opportunity to buy back in a little bit at a cheaper price. But to like we always say, to keep this volatility down, you want to dollar cost average. So that's something that we always want to be doing, dollar cost averaging. But if you see an opportunity, you have some money on the sidelines, then you can jump in real quick if you think it's a good price. So down to 69, but not bad, because over the last month it is still up 12.8%. So that's good over the month, and over 6 months it's still up 10.22%, and year to date it is up 56.87%. So we're still doing good year to date, and that's not even one whole year. That's just from January 1st to November 2nd. All right, so that's Bitcoin looking good, looking good. No problems there. Let's go to our precious metals. Let's see how they are looking. So precious metals, there was a little pullback in precious metals as well. You see gold sitting at $2,752. 2,800 is the actual test for gold. So it's going to try 2,800. And then the test is, can it break 2,800 and flip that resistance into support. That's how we always look at it from a chart standpoint. But also 2,800 would be an all-time high. So as they call it, we would have price discovery above that. Silver is closed Friday at $32.69, which is a really good price. As you remember, the Friday before it closed at $34.03. So down for the week, a little pullback for the week. It says minus 3% for the week. So yes, small pullback, but you are up only 2.3% for the month and 14.7% for 3 months. So that's pretty good over 3 months. I'm gonna go here to a chart I found earlier today, and it's a great chart. I'm glad that I have it. Shout out to Lynn Alden. Lynn Alden released her October newsletter today, and it's a very comprehensive read. So if you want to check that out, you can go to her website and you can get it for free. And here she has her market overview. So gold is up 40.5% for the year. Silver is up 47.1% for the year, that's great. Copper is up 18% for the year. If you're a copper investor, I know people out there who like copper. Oil is down 14.2% for the year. And as of October 31st, Bitcoin price was up to 70,178. Bitcoin is up 102% for the year. So the difference is she went year to year, date to date. So October 31st of 2023 to October 31st of 2024, it's up 102%. When I did the one I did, it was just from January 1st to October 31st. That's why mine is a different number, around 56%. But year to year, 12 months, it's up 102%. So everything's looking good as far as our market overview and the things that we like to talk about the most, which is Bitcoin and precious metals. So that is looking wonderful right now. Everything is working out, especially for the people who like to be low time preferred to long time investors. So we are looking good. So let me get here, make sure my chat is right. And then I got to do this or something. Sometimes I don't know. They change the user interface a lot. So, all right, so let's get into it. We got a few things that we want to talk about today. A lot of it has to do with, a good bit of it has to do with retirement, your retirement funds, your retirement outlook, and things like that, because it comes around. It comes around quicker than you think. Retirement does, and as we talked about, and my wife's talked about, people being aged out the market. So sometimes people have it in their mind that they can work till they're 62 or 67. I can't remember the exact numbers for Social Security retirement, but I think it's right there in that range, and they think they can work that long. But a lot of people are finding out that you cannot work that long, and you are sometimes unemployable as they see it. One, because you may command a higher salary, then they can go hire somebody, half your age or even younger and pay them a lot less. Also, two, it may be people are trying to build. I mean, I hate to say this. I didn't even know this till Aaron told me, but people are trying to build workplaces and a lot of teams, right? You want your team. So people like their team to look the same, right? So if we got a whole bunch of young people on our team, they may not want to hire a 60-year-old to be a team member. Did I say that correctly?
I think a better way to put it, so that
I don't want to seem like I'm being against older people, but
no,
I
but
understood
a
what
way
she's
to
saying.
put it is they're looking for for the team to be able to gel, for there to be you still want cross functionality,
Okay.
but you want the team to be able to Jail, you don't want somebody to feel like an outsider, or worse, treated like one, because let's be honest, regardless of how professional people like to claim that they are, work environments can still be cliquish.
Yes.
So the hiring manager does like to have cross functionality, but also ensure that this personality would gel with the other ones.
Yeah, so that could be problematic as you try to get back in the workforce at an older age. Uno momento, por favor.
Oh, got your juice.
All right, sorry about that. This I had to go get my delicious juice. This came from the juicer. It's a little bit of watermelon, grapes, apple, and
No, today it was watermelon, strawberry, and red grape.
okay, watermelon, strawberries, and red grapes.
So it was a red drink today for
So,
your blood.
yeah, for my blood. Sometimes we do the green drink. So we staying healthy out here, right? Who do you have here? Brandon Mays, Better Days. I like that. Hey, what's up, Brandon Mays? Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We also have Less Square, GE, bro, go to the air. Yeah, we back. I'm trying to, one day I'm gonna get Erin back on camera, but she's here. Her knowledge and wisdom is here. So that's what matters. So yes, indeed. So yes, we want to talk about this retirement situation because sometimes people find themselves in a predicament and have to be mentally prepared for things like that, so that it doesn't just catch you off guard. Because when things like that catch you off guard, no preparation, a little panic might set in and things like that. So here's an article I found earlier this week. It is from bankingrates.com, a pretty good reputable site that I use from time to time. It's more talking about banking, so I don't bring their articles in a lot, but um, it is a good source. So here's the title of this article: 50% of U.S. wealth belongs to boomers. So why are they becoming homeless? And this is a problem now. Homelessness is a problem across all age ranges, but we're going to focus on this age range for right here. So it says boomers, they are sitting on a cool 50% of the wealth in the United States, but not everything is rosy for this crowd. A deep dive into the numbers reveals a harsh reality. Some boomers are hitting retirement with far less security than they bargained for, while the older half of the generation, born between 1946 and 1954, might be living it up in their paid off homes. Younger boomers are facing a different kind of reality. A growing number are falling into homelessness, and it's a crisis that's been decades in the making. So let's talk about that. So what you have here is a group of people who are designated as baby boomers, right? And you have different groups. We know the designations, right? And but what's happening here is the baby boomer generation is now being divided between one side and the other side. So you have a visible divide in their age range, and that's why they say, I guess the very first boomers from 46 to 54 who retired a lot earlier, who had better pensions and things like that. They had better, I don't want to say better jobs, I mean better retirement job matches, things of that nature. And so they were able to pay their homes off and really live a better quality of life, where you see maybe some of the younger baby boomers are having some problems. And let's read about it. Yes, boomers are the wealthiest generation on paper, largely thanks to the rising value of their homes. So let's stop right there. We'll talk about that. Most middle classes, I mean, close to damn near all middle class wealth is tied up in their homes, right? And so when you see somebody say they're worth this amount of money, say somebody says they're worth $500,000, a lot of that will be tied up in their home, the equity they have in their home, or if they paid it off, right? So you're worth this amount of money, but is it liquid? Is it easy to get to? These kind of things you'll see. But so let's move on. Hey, hi, Simon family. What's up, Michelle D? Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much. Most of that wealth belongs to the older boomers who snagged houses when prices were reasonable back in the good old days, right? When you could buy a place for the cost of a decent sandwich. Oh, that's pretty low. The youngest boomers, not so lucky. They're feeling the squeeze from skyrocketing home prices, job market instability, and a social safety net that has more holes than Swiss cheese. I see what you did there. So easily talk about that. It's timing, right? A lot of it is timing. You can't say when you were born. So, like the article states, they were able to buy houses at reasonable prices. We, Aaron and myself, have been able to see that with our parents, right? Mm-hmm. Our parents dealt with that, with being able to buy houses in very nice places for, I would say, better than reasonable prices. Over the time period, skyrocketed, and you were able to sell your house at a huge profit. And that's why you were able to have paid off houses, second houses, and things like that. Now, the younger boomers were able to buy houses in the housing market that was skyrocketing. And so then you don't get as much value, bang for your buck in your house. And so that's the difference. And right there, that's the starting difference in between the two side of boomers. But we're going to get more into it. So we have a Dennis Cohane, a social policy professor at the University of Pennsylvania, told the Wall Street Journal that we need to revamp the federal safety net. We shouldn't have elderly or disabled people living in poverty in one of the richest countries in the world, he said. I agree. Federal data paints a grim picture. Over 20% of those facing homelessness in the US last year were 55 and older. And guess what? This group is now the fastest growing segment of the homeless population. And that is scary because once you become homeless, it from what I read and have researched, it's really, really hard to get out of the homelessness sector, right? Because when you're trying to get back in there, you need an apartment. They want to know where you lived the last 2 years, stuff like that. A lot of people out here I see have no IDs or expired IDs. Then from what I hear, you can't even get a new ID without a address, right? And then they want you to verify your address, typically by some mortgage, some banking paper, mail, or a lease. And you don't have the proper paperwork to verify address, now you can't get an updated ID. So it becomes a very vicious cycle once you become homeless. And to get back in there, same thing when you try to apply for jobs, they want to know your address and things like that. You don't have an address. So it gets to be very tough. Uh, Cohane research digs even deeper, showing that younger boomers, those born after 1954, have made up around a third of the homeless population for years. This isn't a new problem, but it's one that has roots in the economic chaos of the 1980s. Mm-hmm. So why is this happening? Let's take a walk down memory lane. All right, we're going to go back a little bit and see why this is happening. Usually things like this happen, as they said earlier in the article, decades. This is a problem that's been happening for decades. It's not something that happens overnight like, oh, wow, what happened? It's like, no, this is slowly, but surely. And this is what it culminates to. All right. So for the younger boomers, their transition into adulthood was anything but smooth. They came of age during the 1980s, a time when affordable housing started disappearing faster than a stack of pancakes at a Sunday brunch. These aren't my jokes, guys, okay? This is the writer. It's so bear with me. Cohane points out that they faced a housing market that was getting more crowded by the day, with prices climbing higher and higher, right? It wasn't just the housing market that was rough, though. the job market wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet either. So, as you know, perfect as these people are coming of age, job market isn't great. Housing market is looking too expensive. All right, and then of course there was the crack epidemic, right? Crack. Many in this cohort got swept up in that crisis, pushing them into homelessness, a situation that stuck with some as they age, right? Also, adding certain kind of things to your criminal record that stick with you as far as trying to get a job and renting, right? You have a criminal record, it's hard to rent from a lot of, if it's mortgage companies, things like that. So that also sets you back. Adding insult to injury, a lot of these younger boomers work jobs that didn't contribute to Social Security jobs in construction, what does it say? Oh, demolition and other casual labor gigs didn't exactly offer a cushy retirement plan. That's left many struggling without safety net their older counterparts can lean on. True. So you did see a lot of people have these kind of construction jobs. They were seasonal. They paid very well, but it didn't count towards your Social Security, and there was no job like Match, Fidelity, Prudential, Charles Schwab, all this stuff. You didn't get that. Now you were paid very well, and it was consistent work year in and year out. But when it came time to retire, what did you really have ready for retirement unless you had put something or built your own retirement program? And which most people, especially back then, wouldn't have known how to do, because back in the 80s, 90s, it was a lot harder to do your own investing. I mean, it was really tough. You had to actually go there. You get a broker, go back and forth. If you wanted to make a trade, had to make a phone call to your broker, get the trade put in, all this stuff. It's not as easy as it is today. Just, one touch on your mobile device and you've made a trade, or you bought some sort of an investment. So it's very hard back then to build your own retirement portfolio. And you see these kind of jobs, like you say, demolition. People do odd jobs. You always see people doing odd jobs, drywall, flooring, so on and so forth. And so this is another person, Chen Zhao, a senior economist at Redfin, sums it up well. Miss a window by 5 or 10 years, and you're looking at a very different housing and labor markets. It's not a stretch to say these younger boomers were dealt a tough hand. So that too, I agree with. That windows, you have certain windows that are very advantageous. And once that window is closed, the people coming behind them now have a more uphill battle. And it's why we, as a family, dislike the term pull yourself up from your bootstraps, or what's something else they used to say, Aaron? Do it like we did. They give bad.
Get it from the mud.
Yeah, they give bad advice because there was ways of doing things when they were coming up, where it's a certain window. That window has closed, and they'll tell you to do it the way they did it, but that window is no longer open for you to do it that way. So it's bad advice. A lot of people will give you advice on how to buy your first home. Yes, back then it was affordable, it was cheap, it made sense. Now you're in a bubble where you would definitely, if you got somebody coming up 22, 23, get married, definitely would have a lot harder time trying to buy their first home, and would have to really sit down and do the math to see if it's really worth it. If it's really worth it. We have an average, I don't have the paper with me, but it was the average cost of a home in the United States today. And it's really, really high. It's really, really high in contrast to what some of the starting salaries these young people may be getting coming out of college, or if not out of college, just stepping for the first time into the job market. So if you're stepping in the job market, even making maybe $80,000 a year, and that may be high, I'm just putting a number out there. And I believe the average cost of a home, it was somewhere over 400,000. Do you remember? It was very high though.
What?
The average cost of a home today in the United States.
Well, because of California, the number was like 600,000 or 700,000.
Yeah.
Because you have those 2-3 bedroom, it's like 2-3 bedroom, 2-bath homes in California that are over $1 million.
This is true.
Even though in a different market, like Cincinnati's market, Indiana's market, even maybe a city outside of Dallas or Austin in Texas market, that same home would be, maybe probably likely three. Yeah, 400,000. Yeah. And the houses that used to be 400,000 are now almost, it's just nuts.
Yeah, so it can skew the average, but you can see even coming in the job marketplace at $80,000, you really can't afford a house that's $600,000. So yeah, you miss a window. You can't do it like it was done before. Also, you miss windows of lending, right? Lending was different at a certain point in time. It's different now. And so, there's all kind of different factors where you can miss a window and you don't have it like maybe a generation before you or a generation after you. My good buddy, Les Square. So does this really benefit our government in that they don't provide them with perhaps benefits that would receive given if they had a permanent residence? Let me read that one more time. Slow it down. Does it really benefit our government and that they don't provide them with perhaps benefits that would receive given?
Ask Les to tell us a little bit more about his sentiment.
Yeah, can you give me a little bit more on that? At first glance, by not giving them benefits, it lets the government keep more money in their pockets. And it appears that the government does not care about us. I would say that. But yeah, just give me a little bit more on that and we can have a thorough conversation on that. Most definitely. Let Freedom Ring is here. Thank you, sir, for being here. Hello. Yes, this is that is a good question. I would like to know that. And so what this says is we're not boomers. We could be whatever, but we're not boomers. Maybe younger people are boomers. But the thing is, retirement age will come upon all of us, right? So eventually we'll all be whatever retirement age is, what they consider. They're using 55 here. A lot of people would say 60s to 67, something like that. But it's going to happen to all of us. That's why it is important that we talk about our stacking. Talking about the money that you work hard, the money that you trade your time for, that is depreciating every day, which is fiat currency. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even call it money. The fiat currency that you spend your precious time, your most valuable asset is time. You trade your time for fiat currency. That's why it is imperative that you put your fiat currency, which is losing value every day, into something that holds value and gains value over time so that you can be rewarded. You can never get your time back, but you could be rewarded for the time that you spent and have it come back to you even more than you received in the first place. And this is what we're talking about with stacking these things, right? And I know people like to have more diverse and kind of, different types of portfolios. Nothing wrong with that at all. But what we are saying is have these things in your portfolio because, number one, precious metal, it is tried and true, right? It's been tested. It's been money for over 5,000 years. So it's going to be money. So it's good to have that in your portfolio. Also, as you eye the bigger players, you see that they always have gold. And you see they have silver as well. You see all the silver JP Morgan Chase Bank has. You see all the gold that China's getting, Russia's getting. And so you understand that this is always important in your portfolio. And it is to hold the purchasing power and the spending power of your fiat currency. So, and you see that right there. This is just earlier, I read you in our market overview, silver's up 47% this year, right? So if you had $10,000 and you said on day one, I'm buying so much amount of ounces of silver that added up to $10,000 over the course of this year, your $10,000 would now be worth $14,700. Did I do that math right?
I think so.
Okay, so that's one way. Now, if you just took your $10,000 and put it in your Wells Fargo saving account, like Wells Fargo is always trying to persuade you to do, your $10,000 would be $10,000, right? And so what do you say? What does that say to you? And people, you got to look at it like this. I want you to roll with me on this one. When you see your $10,000 go to $14,700, you say a gain, right? That's what they say, profits. But you have to also understand, conversely, the dollar lost that much value. And that's what you have to keep in mind. When you see profits, you have to take the other view and see, is it only profits or is the dollar losing purchasing power and spending power? So that's why you want to take your hard-earned fiat currency and put it somewhere where it's keeping spending power or it is gaining to reward you in the back end. We are all going to have to retire. We can't work. Some people have very physical jobs that, you can only work so long, right? I had a job like that. You don't want a 65-year-old fireman coming to your house putting out a fire, right? You like to see the 25-year-old young buck, strong. You want to see somebody like that. You know it. I know it. Same for certain things. Police officer. You don't want to see this old guy with a big beer belly showing up, but you want to see somebody who's got a jack showing up, who looks like they could protect you, and all these other kind of things. Those are certain jobs you can't work forever, so you got to get out of. Military as well. Some of these harder working jobs. Other jobs, some people get older and they miss the technology trade-off. Right? 15 years ago, somebody with a degree, and we just talked about this the other day, somebody with a degree in marketing, their degree is almost obsolete today in the world of digital marketing. Am I correct on that? So now you got a degree 15 years ago that should have, helped you climb the work ladder. But now you run into a wall where marketing has just did a 180. It's just doing a whole nother thing. And you got young people who know this digital marketing, and then you're kind of like a dinosaur in the game, and it hurts you. And you see a lot of that, you see a lot of that with people getting aged out the market. And getting aged out the market doesn't have to be something that's said. It just goes on behind the scenes, and it's very hard for you to prove it. If you want to take a lawsuit up on it, it's very, very hard to prove something like that. So we have to be prepared as best as we can for these changing times and days, and it's leading to homelessness. That's like the worst case example. Homelessness. One thing is you may have to downgrade. You may have to sell your asset, which is your house, in most middle class, upper middle class people. You may have to get a job that you may think is beneath you. You may have to get two jobs. We hear about it all the time. I hear about people with high-end jobs having to, go drive Uber or do other things or work at a fast food place and take on jobs like that they may feel like is beneath them. And then you got some people who know that, I got to do something. So they get out there and they just keep chopping wood. So there's that. Right, you are on point. Wow, that is a great point about even though our fiat increases the dollars, but not really in value. Yeah, that's the crazy part. That's why numbers throw people off, because it is increasing in numbers, but it's not really increasing in value. And that's why you have to always, like, if you had a chart, but just overlay what you're making against cost of living and the cost of living inflation, right? Because like we talked about it on shows before, and I had that chart, I just put it away in my email. But you know, if you make $100,000 in one place, it goes a lot further than it does, you know, maybe in like San Francisco, LA or something. So yes, your salary may increase, and you'll see this with companies. They're willing to pay more if you live, and you'll come out and take a job in, you know, New York City. They'll pay you more than maybe they would pay you in Indianapolis. And even I've learned this from my wife. If you have remote jobs, sometimes remote jobs are paying you based on your home state. So, you know, they'll give you a higher salary if you were based out of Manhattan than if you were based out of Laredo, Texas, right? Doing the same job, you know. Her and I could be doing the same job. I'm in Laredo, she's in Manhattan. Her salary will be higher than mine. Mm-hmm. And, you know, at first, you know, on face value, you'd be tripping like, man, we do the same job. How can your salary be that high? But the market, you know, it's the market. It'll spend the same. My house looks like her house. We got the same kind of car.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, all that. A lot of times, mm-hmm. I don't want to say a lot of times because I can't quantify that. Okay. Many times, mm-hmm. you would notice that if you actually sat down and do the math, wow. So let's use like Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And they have a tech, we're going to call it a tech specialist, right? Because I need a general or a generic term. They do something technical mm-hmm. in the field where the salary in New York could be, let's say, $250,000 US per year.
Sounds good.
And they need that same tech specialist in Latin America. So let's say here in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to pay that person $189,000 a year. So significantly less, same exact job, mm-hmm. different markets. Yeah. But when you sit down and you do the math, obviously the tech in Mexico is doing significantly better. I don't know why those two lights went out. Hubby would be so annoyed when he'd be walking around his castle and a light is out, a doorknob is jiggly. I don't know, it drives him crazy. But no, the two lights went out. I mean, we use these lights a lot. Yeah, so I'm gonna have Raul take care of it when he gets the door together.
My bad.
I also have a light out in the kitchen, so I have Raul take care of all of the lights.
My bad. I don't come down to this.
Anyway, but it annoys the crap out of him when he walking around his castle and he's like, Aaron, what's going on with this? But you can understand that even though from 250 to 189, the tech in the Mexican market, because of the way it spends, we get real hung up on numbers. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, I made $250,000. I don't need no man. Uh-oh. Yes, you do. In New York, you need a second salary at that salary.
That's what I heard. That's crazy too.
Right? And you live in Manhattan. So yes, ma'am, you need a man in your life or a woman, however you get down. You need a second income.
Can I get something cheaper up in the Bronx?
See,
you all love the Bronx. Shout out to the Bronx.
But they're trying to, there's some really nice areas of the Bronx. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to derail you. This is a really good show and I don't want to derail you. Y'all can see my little hand. I love y'all, but I ain't camera ready. But one of the things that we should do as wealth stewards, right? And this is a term that I've been using when talking to the children, right? As wealth stewards, you want to analyze those things. Mm-hmm. Same job, different markets, but who's really coming out on top?
Right.
You take that 250 and you go over to markets in California. Again, you have the same problem you had in New York.
Yes.
Now, if somebody's willing to offer you, 192, they adjust it on purpose because they understand the market.
Yes, they do.
Then maybe you should live in the outskirts of Dallas, Texas, or the outskirts of Houston or some country area where you can really get a hedge on inflation.
Yeah.
Get that hedge on with jobs like that. They typically, like Airbnb and all of those high tech jobs, they typically have the fiduciary space to pay their employees, to offer bonuses based on KPIs, based on performance. It's, you run into that trouble with some other industries where you always want to kind of anticipate the idea that, what if we cannot get a raise this year? How can I create my own raise? This is that growth mindset that Simon and I talk to you guys about all the time.
Yes.
The company, my gig that I'm currently with, they ran into they did a whole bunch of acquisitions, right? Nothing wrong with that. They were trying to enlarge themselves in the market. They are number one in the market in the niche industry that I'm in. But in doing that and not being able to streamline their mergers and their acquisitions immediately, which you can't because there's just so many of them.
Yes.
They had to kind of pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
And in pulling back, they pulled back on the raises. They didn't cut anyone's salary. They did have layoffs, but they didn't, do the raises like they did. I got an incredible raise last year. This year, not so much. And it wasn't performance based, so nobody could be upset. So what did I do? I went crying to my husband that we didn't get the raise we were looking for this year. And with the growth mindset, one of the first things I said was, what do you think? And he said, I think I'll create a raise for you. What you need to do is set aside this amount of capital and come talk to me in a little bit. And sure enough, low time preference. We gave it some time. We only get a raise once a year anyway. So you know what I mean?
She got a hefty raise,
last year, but not this year.
No, I'm saying hefty raise.
Oh, so I got a better raise this year than probably all 3 years combined.
She got a hefty raise. And and that's what she said, growth mindset.
But how can we, right, not feel defeated that it didn't happen? It's like, okay, this was weird. It was something I didn't expect or anticipate. What do you think? And, Simon sat for a minute and he said, give me this amount of capital and come talk to me in a little bit. Meaning, just give me time to work it. And that's what he did, right? That's what he does. I remember the first time, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I remember we have hella kids. Y'all know that. So as I'm climbing the corporate ladder, right? I don't even think to myself that you're going to get to a point where you're going to make too much money and you're not going to get those big, gigantic tax returns anymore. So I remember the first year it happened. And I went, now, I do the taxes for the house and stuff. I do the business taxes and everything. I think I'm going to give that to somebody else now because I'm at the point
I think it's time.
They keep changing the tax codes. It's too complex.
Yeah, it's just moving
for me to keep up. It's not worth it. But I remember the first time that number went from blue to red.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I did it again and I did it again. And then I said, you know what? Let me use a different software. And I used that. And I went through the ledgers and I'm looking to see if I missed something. And I said, Simon,
they're moving stuff around. And so,
we owe money.
So once you owe, that's a big. So we do it in a certain way where there's certain ways you could do your taxes. For example, if you wanted to do it in a fashion of being a resident of Mexico, you have a whole different
but you really do with the growth mindset, you have to walk down a different path of thought, right? You can't be defeated by the situation. You have to, I went to him and he was like, what do you mean we owe? We don't owe. I said, we owe, right? We're climbing up the ladder, making more money than I've ever made. This was years ago, making more money than I ever made. The 4 kids, and they were all well within the earned income credit bracket. So it just didn't make any sense to any of us.
Right.
So finally, Simon just kind of sat. He's got this little pawpaw chair. The chairs have evolved over the years, but he sits in this pawpaw chair. This used to be a pawpaw chair once upon a time.
This is very comfortable.
Now it's decorative furniture because he's got a new pawpaw chair. But he sat in this pawpaw chair for probably about a good 2 hours. And he said, all right, we'll fix this, but I'll make sure you get a tax return next year. And I looked at him and I said, how you gonna make sure I get a tax return next year? Like, how you gonna do that? And he says, I don't mean it in the sense that we're gonna do anything to the taxes. And that's when he started teaching me we are going to create our own tax return. And it was ever since then, just that approach was nuts. Like, oh, I'm gonna invest a stream of money so that come tax time, you don't feel like this anymore. Because it does mess with your mindset a little bit.
Yeah, and so what this is what she's saying is you'll have, I would have put away investments, right, for the family that I say we won't touch, right?
So there's those.
So those. Then you have the other ones. You have your emergency fund. You have maybe your daily fund. You have something you want to. But I will reach back and take something from over here to start up her fund for whether it was getting raised, whether it was getting a return, and we'll fund it that way.
Right.
The funny thing about it is the tax return you get and the raise you get usually gets funneled back into investments.
It does. So
it's like
I didn't want to tell her that. So, and I'm going to be very transparent with y'all. With 4 children, we were used to, almost $10,000 tax return.
Yeah, she was getting a lick.
So now Simon has the privilege, the challenge, the obstacle to really challenge himself and say, okay, I need to get between 5 and 10,000 on this for this thing. Now, granted, when he achieves it, he doesn't hand me $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and says go crazy with it, right? No. He achieves it. He says, "This is what we do. Do you need anything? If the house needs anything, if we need new devices or any large purchases,
yes.
We'll take it from that particular thing." That goes for the raise as well, because we really don't want to touch the things we don't want to touch. We don't ever want to touch our swan coin. We don't ever want to touch our sun exchange. I was about to call it SunTrust. Yeah. Sun exchange. We have investments that you don't touch. He takes the profits, he runs them back into other investments. Right. And then we have those where, things happen. We need a new washing machine. We need a new fridge.
Those were insurance free, remember?
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying,
I love free stuff.
the baby accidentally put a gigantic hole in the couch, so now we need to go furniture shopping. Little things like that. So large purchases in a house this big do come up from time.
Somebody got to go sit in the hospital for 2.5 weeks.
There was that.
Then there's that. But they pop up on you, man. You give it enough time.
But the point of the story is for you guys to sit and think to yourself, this particular thing is going on. And while it feels defeating, how can I resolve it? How can I solve it? What solution can I design in order to get maybe the same result, a similar result, or a better result, or a better outcome? Mm-hmm. And once you start approaching your obstacles, your challenges, your stumbling blocks, notice I try not to use the word problem, because problem in the subconscious mind has a very specific connotation.
It sure does.
Right? But obstacle, we can kind of move that out the way. Stumbling block.
Yeah,
you stumbled, but you didn't fall.
I like to use the word hurdle.
Hurdle, right? Hurdle. You can trip over a hurdle, get up, and jump over the rest, right? For those of you who ran track. So we also try to the precision of language, the language you use, the connotation in the words you use will also determine command. Right? It'll walk you into the mindset you are going to use to approach this particular thing that may have arisen. So that's why I kind of wanted to bring some of those things up. When you're looking at these tech jobs, a lot of you guys work from home, you have your entrepreneurial business, you have this and that and the third. Consider those things. What kind of market do I live in? Have you ever given that thought?
One moment here. I'm sorry not to cut you off. Les Square, the big homie, said, he said, just to let you know, we're almost seeing Aaron, just in case you didn't want to be seen. I don't know if you can see the camera.
I know I don't have my eyelashes and stuff on.
See that? It's as simple as that. If she had her eyelashes on, she'd be sitting right next to me.
I'm just saying, I don't look like my spiteful self. So I don't mind, if you can see me. I just.
She don't have a bonnet on.
I don't want. Be quiet. I just don't want this video.
My bad, y'all.
Is it dying? Why is it so dull?
Maybe do I have it though?
I don't know.
Where is it here?
Yeah, like, can you turn the brightness
Oh,
up?
my bad. It's all down.
Oh yeah, turn it all the way up. But I put the chart.
Oh, maybe it wasn't dark outside then.
But I just wanted to kind of bring that up, that it's very important for us to use that critical thinking. Ask questions. What kind of market do I live in? What kind of city do I live in? Is it beneficial for me to move to a different market to leverage my income ability? I don't know how you guys generate income, right? To create other passive incomes, to create other avenues of investment. How can I give myself the very best benefit and not do what I've been doing because everybody does it the way it's been done? We want to kind of break those cycles, break those chains, break those thoughts, break those patterns. And sometimes a little thing like moving to a new city will usher in a new mindset for you. You're not around the same people. Your neural pathways aren't so, because you've been here since you were 4 years old and you know the streets back to front, front to back. Moving somewhere else forces you to create new neural pathways. New neural pathways force you to think a bit differently. It'll change the way you think. It'll change the way you feel. It will change the way you behave, react, and respond to your environment. Yeah. And that's a lot of the things that need to be done in order to usher in a wealth journey.
Wealth journey. And just also what she was saying, we were talking about the boomers. You see a lot of boomers retired from up north and all moved down south, right? Yeah. You remember the influx of, she knows it because her parents did, the influx of New Yorkers you see move down to Florida. And they were able to leverage that high, their house commanded a high price. And they were able to leverage that, move down Florida, build brand new houses from the ground in nice gated communities with a lot of amenities and things that catered towards the 65 and over, what was 55 and over age group. And you've seen that happening. You probably got family members or parents or something like that who did it themselves. So yes, sometimes moving somewhere else is the arbitrage. And it doesn't have to be out the country. We're big because we've seen the arbitrage within the country, but we're saying out the country, you got a really big arbitrage with having the world reserve currency as the currency that you actually earned your money in and continue to earn your money in and leverage it against the weaker currencies. I got a whole story here about the Mexican peso hitting a yearly low against the US dollar. And it allows people like us who still have earned money in the dollar and continue to leverage it against their Mexican peso where we live here in Mexico.
But I would like for Simon to be a bit more specific in the leveraging of what it really means. So what he's saying right now is in the difference between the currencies. So for instance, yesterday was November 1st. Obviously, we have until the 5th, but obviously, right, on the 1st of the month.
No, it was the 1st, but I was going to say, I thought you meant about contracts.
No, I was just going to tell them about, because you're leveraging your dollar against a different currency, in this case, the peso, the discounts.
So the discounts. So for the contract, so say a contract, you come down here and you want to rent an apartment, a condo, house, whatever you want to rent, right? You want to rent it first to get a feel for it before you try to become a buyer. What's up, Cryptonomics? He's in the building.
Hi, Cryptonomics.
Snuggles is in the building with eyeballs. Okay,
I don't know what that means.
Thank you, Snuggles, for being in the building. Snuggles 68. He said, I said it before, Bitcoin about to flush down. Give me a number, flush down to a number. Give me a number. I have a chart here I was going to go over, but I don't know if I will get to it because I'm already 54 minutes in. I don't know if I'll get to that chart today. Contracts. So if you come down here in the contract and you want to rent, say you want to rent an apartment. So what will happen is when you're seeing it on, let's say, Airbnb, right?
Okay.
You see it, it's going to be in dollars. But here's the kicker. When you come down, negotiate your price in pesos, right? Because when it's in dollars and you still end up having to pay in pesos, it fluctuates. So your rent, you won't know what your rent will be every month, right? So if the peso is 1 to 20 and your rent's $300 a month, it's 6,000 pesos per month. Cool, fine. But let's say that the peso starts to boom, 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 boom. Now it's 1 to 18, right? It's still 6,000 pesos. The problem is it's now more than $300, right? So you end up paying more because of the fluctuation. So always maneuver it and have it in pesos so that when you see fluctuation, you pay the peso regardless. So like as you see the fluctuation going up, say when you got there and you did it in pesos, it was 1 to 15, and it goes all the way up to 1 to 20, your rent's cheaper. Even though you're still paying the same amount of pesos, your rent is getting cheaper and cheaper over time. Same thing if you want to lease a car or something like that. So do your contracts in the weaker currency.
And yes, right. And that goes for any weaker currency.
Any weaker currency.
And most currencies, with the exception of BRICS, most currencies are weaker than the US dollar currently.
Yeah.
But like he said, what happens is when you open your, because I'm big on the mindset part of the wealth journey, right? Simon is integral to our wealth journey because he executes the investments, he executes the capital. I know when I put money in this man's hand, he going triple, quadruple, quintuple it, right? But the mindset, the approach that I have to take that's integral in this partnership is how can I consistently scale up or create scalability in my ability to generate income. And then I ask my husband to, I almost like the children, right? I take that income and I put it in his hand in order for him to transform the income into wealth. And I know a lot of people like income, wealth, it's all the same. Not in my mind, it's not.
And it is a difference, but
right, not in my mind. It's a lot of people will use it interchangeably.
Yeah.
Right. I rely on my husband to take the income, the capital that passes through my hands. I want you to transform this energy into wealth.
So, and you guys know the difference, but we'll go over it again because people do use it interchangeably, right? When you hear somebody say so-and-so is a billionaire, right? That is their wealth. That doesn't mean they make $1 billion per year. For example, well-known billionaire Mark Cuban, who is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, you probably seen him on Shark Tank. He is a billionaire. But the interesting thing that he said to me, not to me, I'm sorry, that he said that I found interesting is that he has to pay himself a salary. And he said the players on his basketball team in salary make more than him per year. So he pays his players more than he pays himself, which is his income. But his wealth is what they count everything, his investments, the team he owns, his assets all around the world. He is a owner of Bitcoin. So, income and wealth are two different things. You might make $100,000. You could make $100,000 a year, but be a millionaire, right? As far as your wealth goes. So yes, she is speaking on the income part. I'm the wealth part, the wealth generator.
But it's an organization, right? We see our household, and we talk to a lot of people, and they can't stand the way we see things or the way we operate, but it works for us. We see our household as an organization, right? So my department, right, is the accounts, in a sense, receivable. And then my husband's department is the department, I don't know what to call it, but that department is supposed to invest the money and create profit margins beyond whatever service or product we offer as a organization.
Yeah, we would be the Treasury Reserve Assets Department.
There you go.
That would be us.
But it requires a lot of, again, mindset. It requires discipline. It requires a profound understanding. when I get paid or when I have deposits come in, Simon stays on top of that. He'll be like, hey, I just want to let you know you got this deposit, you got that deposit, so on and so forth. And then the first thing he does is he disperses it to all of the necessary accounts. I don't pay a bill. I don't buy an eyelash. I do not buy a carton of eggs. Nothing moves until the money goes into the investment accounts they belong to. Again, we're talking about the discipline. Mm-hmm. Right? There's no Amazon purchases. There's no, this is my money and I get to do what I want. No. After he pays all of the investment account, which is really paying us first, then we will take care of the critical bills. That in itself is discipline because Erin doesn't have any credit card debt. She doesn't have any student loan debt. So the only thing that's left over is the expenses of the household, which I prefer to call them like kind of expensive more so than bills, because other than the expenses of the house, we don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah, and so exactly that. No student debt. I worked hard enough or fortunate enough to get an academic scholarship mixed with the athletic scholarship. So I owe no schools. She owes no schools, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a big part of people's debt. Especially in our age range a little bit because the price of schooling gas so expensive,
schooling, right? Because a lot of people who do have school loans and stuff, that offers, and I'm not talking about everybody, but that offers them the scalability to build their economic portfolio as far as income goes. So I'm not mad at that. But the credit cards, you can control that.
Definitely.
Right? When we buy whatever we buy, we don't pay interest on it. We either got it or we don't need it. And like these are the kind of like mindset trains that you want to establish in the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. Right? Delayed gratification has to be written into your persona. You have to be able to say, you know what, I really do want this thing. I'm either willing to work towards it, or it's not a big deal. By the time we get to it, I don't really need it and I can move on about my business. Mm-hmm. So it's just like little tweaks and stuff. Like I said, if you can have a bit of perception changes, your perception changes are going to move you to move different. You're going to feel different. Therefore, you're going to move different. Mm-hmm. And you'll have a lot more success in scaling up your investment ability. Mm-hmm. And that should be a big part of your mindset in your wealth journey. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes, I'm putting this away in this Bitcoin. Can you start another Bitcoin portfolio? Yeah. Right? Do you have room now for maybe some Ethereum? Do you have room now for maybe precious metals? Precious metals is its own portfolio. You can invest in silver, you can invest in gold, palladium, platinum, right? And little by little, create this vast investment portfolio that brings in multiple streams of income so that when one thing is down, you have other things that are up.
And then the funny part about it, you talk about Bitcoin, precious metals. The funny part about those two is if you've been invested in them long enough, you're always up. And that's the thing, you know, you can see I go on some of these platforms and I see people complaining and stuff that something might be down a few percent, right? Mm-hmm. They're mad that Bitcoin dropped from 72 down to 69. But when you've been in it so long, it looks like nothing. It's like, what, 69? 6 years ago, we would have been screaming about 69, right? Mm-hmm. So that 69 is lovely. So in it long enough, you'll always be up, right? I hear people, the same thing with silver. And I remember buying silver at $11. So whether it goes from 34 to 32, even if it goes to 29, you're always up.
But here's another mindset hurdle that I hear people do often, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes people will have an understanding on the amount of silver that we have. And because they can't have all of that silver right now, they don't bother at all. And you have to say like, hey, right? Do you remember that Eddie Murphy joke? when the girl wanted to kiss him and he told him to kiss Robert Townsend.
Oh, you got to start with Robert Townsend.
You can't start at the top, right? You got to start from the basics, right? The journey to 1,000 miles begins with one step. The journey to $1,000 for you may begin with $1. Right? Every single journey begins with that first step. Why don't you start with 1 ounce and then kind of build your way up? Now, like you said, because I didn't get the silver at $11, it's what, about $33 today? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to start at $33, but you have to have the mindset that $33 today could at some point in a fixed future be $133.
Right.
And now that's even better than starting at the 11. If you couldn't start at the 11, you took the journey anyway and walked that journey out. And this is what I mean when we talk about perception changes.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Right? No young family starts in a 8-bedroom, 11-bathroom house. It's like that's unreasonable for you to think that because this family has that's where you can start.
Yeah,
that family didn't start that way. That family started in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we all slept in the same room, and we worked our way up. So some of the mindset hurdles, ditches, stumbling blocks, I would really like to kind of address and just kind of tilt your crown to give you a perception change on ways to open your mind to all possibilities.
So.
And sometimes you just have to ask the question, and eventually the solution will present itself to you.
It will present itself. Let me. I'm sorry, I missed some of the chat. So let me go through the chat. We are the Metaverse president. Welcome. I ain't check in for a while, but y'all message still rings strong in my household. Keep being consistent. Thank you, Metaverse president. We appreciate you being here. I admire how structured you guys are. Les Square says, thank you. Some of that, I don't know. We talk about it from time to time. I don't know if it's personality, like the way you kind of are. Some of it, it comes from playing organized sports at a high level where, you had to be structured. The military, you got to be structured. So it's just kind of carried through our lives.
What was the question?
No, he said, I admire how structured you are. And it's just,
it's
just over years.
We were like that from before the military. I think because we were the babies in the house where, not to say our parents didn't raise us, but we're 90s babies. We were born in the 80s. Yeah, and they had that hands off. Y'all look like y'all got it.
Yeah, even when I started in the workforce, they like you like an old man the way you do stuff. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just do it like I said it done in the house.
And even though my mom and dad, I had both of my parents. My grandmother lived there. I had a West Indian grandmother, so I'm an old soul because by 6 years old, I was saying stuff like, Lord willing, I'm gonna be 7 in a couple of months.
Yeah, so we. It's old. So he said y'all are funny.
Lord willing, I'm gonna turn 8 in February.
Cryptonomics says to Aaron, she needs to show her natural self.
Y'all talk all that natural stuff, and then everybody gonna be in the comments talking about how washed out your face look, eyelashes ain't on, eyeliner's not on. My hair is done. I did my hair today.
Your hair is done. Bye, Pepe. I'll pass.
That's the
I'll pass, but thank you.
Point.
I don't know. It don't sound right. It's going to bust down to 3840K before the next bull run starts. Okay. She don't like to see that. Me as a long-term holder, I would see that as going on sale because it wouldn't be the first time this happened. And I just fight through it. Garrison Simon. Hey, what's up, cousin?
Hey, we related? We cousins for real.
He said, what's up, fam? Kryptonite Silver doing well.
Yeah, Cryptonomics heavy in the precious
metals. Silver was busting out with a relatively strong dollar. I can't wait to see what it would do when the dollar gets weak. Yeah, this is true. That's what a lot of people are waiting on. When the dollar gets weak, silver, it's going to explode. That might not be a good thing, as far as inflation and stuff goes, but it will explode. And that day's coming. Like it's already in there, right? Michelle D. What's up, Michelle D? She says, love it. being debt free is hard for many people to comprehend. I've been debt free since 2019. It will change. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Change your life
Overnight being debt free. Yeah, boy, man, will it ever? And yeah, it takes a while to figure it out because they always encourage you. They encourage. I remember when I was 19, I think, or 20. I was very young, and they give you $20,000 credit cards. I would. Yeah, that it was Discover, and I'm in the military, so I'm making.
Oh, we're in the military. 19 on now. I'm thinking like high school. I had a JC Penney card in high school. I told you what happened, right?
What do you do with it?
My dad took me to JC, but he was also my co-signer.
Okay.
So I got this. I'm in high school. Okay, I'm in 11th grade. I'm in 12th grade. I had to be in 12th grade because I was 18, and I got a $3,500 limit. So we signed up for it. My dad went to go pay his JCPenney bill because, my mom used to shop there. Come home. About a week later, my dad gets a phone call. So he was like, Aaron, it's for you. And I'm like, hello. And they're like, hi, this is JCPenney. We just wanted to confirm your furniture delivery for tomorrow. I was like, what? She said, yes, she ordered it. She names like the furniture set. The shit came up to $2,700. I didn't even use my JCPenney card yet.
Hey, blew it up.
Oh, my Lord. I said, ma'am, I did not order any furniture. She said, this is why we call, because it looked weird. It was trying to go to a different address, and we will only deliver to the address on file. Oh, so I had to get my dad involved because I was like, Dad, somebody charged $2,700 to the card I just got, and it wasn't me. So, he like took care of it or whatever. Exactly. They reversed it. They put it back on there, and I was really good with that credit card. But I thought $3,500 in 12th grade for JCPenney was like $2 million. Wow. In credit.
I never shopped there, but
I had JCPenney in San Antonio though. So I couldn't use my card. They had Dillard's. They ain't have JCPenney in San Antonio. Okay.
See, I wasn't a JCPenney.
I ended up closing the account.
I was a JCPenney guy, but this stuff was expensive.
JCPenney, yeah, that was high school. That was nice.
Expensive. Les Square says to run your household like a business, even if you don't have a business, is uncommon in our culture, but that is powerful. Certainly needs to be taught.
Les Square. My husband told me when we got married at 22, he wanted to run the marriage like a business. So you could imagine my response. What was it like about 3 months after we got married? Because we just came back from our honeymoon or something.
Yeah. And her response, I can't remember it, but it wasn't.
I was positive. Like, what?
But see, here's the thing.
It works.
When you dissolve your marriage, they dissolve it like it's a business partnership breaking up. If you notice that.
You didn't tell me that, because that would have been an argument. What he did tell me was it was a way for a young couple to have a little bit of discipline in their marriage, so we don't get divorced. Because remember, most people was getting divorced over money.
Yep. And so you can also dissolve your relationship yourself. You don't have to get the court involved to say, well, he gets this, she gets that. And you could do it yourself. We've been running like a business. Well, this is your portion. This is my portion. And you don't even have to get them involved. You write up what you write up, had them sign off on it. Just like if you had a business partner and you guys were breaking up the business. It is a business. So, things are in her name, things are in my name. There's a line of credit here. Yeah, some things are both of our names.
We talking about how we leverage our strengths.
No, I'm just saying that run it like a business, because if it has to come to an end, they will dissolve it like a business. Most definitely. Commodities are in. Yes, they are. I love commodities. That's why we talk a lot about precious metal. Commodities are definitely in. Gold and silver will last longer than the dollar. Yes, they will. And I want to give a shout out to AMI90. AMI90. Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much. BK Crypto, boom. You're a little late. But thank you for being with us. Dear Bit, greetings, folks. Greetings to you, Dear Bit. We love seeing you here. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to go over this exercise here real quick. It's a quick exercise. I just had to do it. And, you may have seen it, but October 31st for most people, I guess, was Halloween. A big holiday for a lot of people. So friend of the show and a friend of ours, Christopher Boyd. Shout out to Christopher Boyd. He may be on the show here soon. We have to work out some kinks. But he sent this text and on Twitter too. So we're gonna go over the price of Bitcoin over Halloween, and I'll make it quick. In 2010, Bitcoin was 20 cents. In 2011, Bitcoin was $3.27. In 2012, Bitcoin was $11. Seeing some movement. About a 3x there. In 2013, Bitcoin went from $11 to $201. All right, we're seeing some real movement. This is, if you holding on, you got low time preference. In 2014, it went to $337. All right. 2015, it went $312. So it looked like a little sideways trading for a whole year. And I remember those fun days. From 2015 to 2016, it went up to $699. So you see it looks like a double there. So from 2016 to $699, it went to 2017 to $6,369. Now you guys might start remembering these times. 2017, this is when we're rocking and rolling. 2018 stayed about the same, $6,332. Now 2019 goes up to $9,172, right? So now we get going. 2020, COVID, it is $13,537. So it went from 2020, $13,537 to 2021, $61,837. So we was really getting it in then. I know you guys remember that. It was good old days. We were talking about the other day. Everything was lovely. Everything was up. Our Ethereum was up. All kind of stuff was up. Doge. I think Doge had went up to 70 cents. Man, I was loving Doge. I love it, Doge. 2022. Now you're seeing that big pullback. It was 20,624 down from the 61,000. Wow. In 23, last year it was 34,494, and this year it was 72,250. So most of the times you're seeing at least 1x, 2x. But let's just say you go all the way back. Let's just let's say 2016, you had it at $6.99 per coin. And now you get it at $72,250 per coin. See, just low time preference and being in that long lets you see that even if Bitcoin goes down, you're still up, right? And even if you buy it today, 10 years from now, you could be like, I got it at 69,000 or whatever, and Bitcoin could be, who knows, anywhere. And so that's why don't worry about the price. Just worry about dollar cost averaging in and making it and having discipline, right? Mm-hmm. You want to have discipline, continue to do it continuously, and then you could look back 10 years and be like, dang, I got it real cheap. So that was just, thank you, Christopher Boyd, for that. That is because it gives you a perspective on what it was in those days. Because sometimes you forget, right? 2015, 2016, you forget it was that cheap. But you do remember messing around with it and trying to get it. That was the days it used to be hard to get and hard to keep. So, yep, there was that. LOL. Oh, yeah. Very good point. Run it like a business. Yes, indeed. Because effectively it is a business, and it helps you. It helps people know their roles in the family, because you see people, for example, you see a lot of people they want to move out, get off the grid. I guess that's the best way to put it. So they'll go to these places, and you see them on YouTube, and they'll start little towns, or they want to be kind of all natural, grow their own food, do everything within the town. So as you would run your household like a business, you could also see how when you start a town, you have to run it like a town. People have to be assigned things. So when you have children, you're assigned certain things. And we grew up with it, and we do it now. You give your children chores, but that is their job in the business. So right?
For them, no, we don't call it chores, right? Because that makes it sound too casual and too like y'all live in a regular house. You don't. Your father and I work very hard to provide a literal castle for you here in Mexico. So when we establish the contracts, and yes, they do have written contracts. I don't care that they're minors. It's a way to teach men to be a man of their word, right? You put your signature on here. You understand your role, your function.
It's not gonna stand up in court.
It's not. It's not. But still, it's getting them familiar with contract negotiation, because there is negotiation at the time, right? Mm-hmm. But their title here in the household are estate managers. Right? If it's big in their mind, they're going to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. Right? This is not a house. That makes you feel like it's just too casual. If I do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't. No, you guys are managers of the estate. Like we said, outside of like little functional things that that we have a gentleman who comes and he helps out with stuff that needs to be fixed around the house. His name is Raul. Outside of what Raul needs to take care of, my floors need to be mopped. My dining room tables, we have 2 dining room table sets. Dining room tables have to be cleaned down, wiped down, put away properly. Kitchen has to be cleaned twice a day, right? We don't want mice, roaches, rats, or whatever else live out in these cornfields.
Snakes.
Right? Yeah, we don't want anything here in the house. Your bedroom is the size of a little apartment. Treat it like it is your apartment. I'm not asking you to pay rent, but I'm telling you, while you are inhabiting the property, here are the stipulations. We also treat them like employees.
Yeah, you have to do certain things. Like our middle son, for example, we have to have gas delivered. So a big canister in the backyard.
Yeah, my stuff is gas stove.
Yeah, we don't have
the electric stove.
Yeah, and we don't have gas piped in for like hot water and stuff. So he has to be on top of what the PSI is. He is in direct contact with the delivery guy, so he texts them. We will give them the money for the amount of gas needed, but he's on top of that. He texts them, he goes, pays them, he goes out there and watches them to make sure there's no funny business, because they will try to pull some funny business on you if you're not paying attention. So he's in charge of stuff like that. The other one's in charge of the water tank, because we don't have piped in water. So we got a 20,000 liter tank underground, looks like an underground pool in the backyard, where they come to fill it up about every 2 weeks. So he's in charge of keeping an eye on the water, things like that.
They have to tell them too, like in the hacienda, that's where our animals are kept.
Yeah,
they have to make sure that the shepherds are feeding our animals. Mm-hmm. We're not going to eat them because they have names. Our children named them, so we ain't going to eat them. But you got to go over there and make sure that the animals, and you just got to go, can I see Bessie's ribs? Right? We have cows, we have sheep, we have lambs. So little things like that, because we are paying for a service. Reginald, our middle son, he'll kind of stay on top of that. How the yard looks, does the grass need to be cut? I shouldn't have to ask any of those questions to the functionality of the house. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, with the lights being out, I'm not sure why Reginald hasn't contacted Raul to say, hey, there's 2 lights in the dining room. Well, he was sick this week. He had the flu.
He's sick for 2 weeks.
Yeah, he had the flu. So that's why.
He's down and out.
But he cleaned the fridge out yesterday, so he's feeling better.
Yeah, so everybody has a job, and then they're paid for it, And our older son, he had the job. Well, he has his own job now, but
yeah, he's got his own job.
So he takes care of himself. So he kind of we don't even see him that much. He's in Mexico City today with his girlfriend, so we rarely see him. This is his day off, but we don't see him Monday through Friday.
But it establishes early, because our youngest is 8. He's got he doesn't have a contract, y'all. I ain't that stiff. Junior does. He's 14. He's had a contract since he was 12.
Yeah.
But it establishes their understanding of responsibility, obligation, and accountability very early. They understand where there's work, there's reward. They understand delayed gratification, because they do get paid. They get paid every 2 weeks, like normal employees get paid every 2 weeks. They obviously, because of their father, they understand budgeting. They have to budget that money. Mm-hmm. We don't pay them $1,000 a month, right? They get like allowance in a sense, which they don't understand it like we would from the 90s. But they have to budget that. They got to make sure they got money for the refs. If we're not going to take them to practice, they have money for a cab. If they want to go and have lunch, and then they can't come back and get us to backfill stupid stuff they want.
And sometimes I'll backfill them. Like when I'm at the game, I pay for the refs. Right. Sometimes I can't be at a game or something, they'll pay for the refs, or I'll give them some money, but they could pay for the refs. There's they can get their own Gatorade stuff. And a lot of times I backfill them, just I actually want you to spend your money on stuff that you like, but have it in case, right? In case you got to call a cab or something like that. And another thing too, this helps in is it helps them to step up in a position when somebody might be down.
Right.
For example, I was down and out for quite a while. So my older sons were able to fill in where, I couldn't do the work at that time, right? Aaron's been down for a while here. And so we're able to fill in. He's able to fill in for things that he knows how to cook. Our 16-year-old, 16 or 17. He's about to be 17. Yeah. So there we go. He knows how to cook. He knows how to make is it curry chicken curry?
He can make everything.
He can make he loves to make spaghetti, doesn't everybody? But yeah, he makes all kind of stuff. He knows how to make his breakfast. He makes breakfast for the family. If you want it, pancakes to order and all this stuff and scrambled eggs, omelets, he could cook. So Aaron likes to cook and she does the majority of cooking, but when she's down, he can step right in. I'll take him to the grocery store and get him the stuff that he wants. We walk around, he picks out his ingredients, take it home, and then he gets busy, and he comes up with stuff and cooks steaks. He does everything. So, he could step in. It's good also to teach them your roles so they can step in. Definitely taught both of them how to drive so they can step in driving. It helps out a lot. You get tired of driving after all these years. You get tired. It's nice to just sit in the back seat.
But the idea is to cultivate that mindset from early so they have an understanding on the world that they're going to be. And the thing is, right, you blink, they were born. I mean, Sean was a toddler yesterday. He's 23 now.
Yeah, I was looking at
but that way, if something happens to us, God forbid, Yahuwah forbid, I should say, they're not lost in the world like so many kids are.
Yeah, they're not. And also, there's like what you want to say, continuity or something?
Yeah.
Whereas what we teach them as younger children, younger adults, they stay up on the things that are new. And they bring back a lot of great information to us and say, hey, this is what's trending, or this is something new you should look into. And they help us as far as research goes, because something that may be off the radar to me, I'm not paying attention to because I'm not into their part of social media. They bring back information that I could use, and I'm like, oh wow, this is this is very valuable information. So they may also take what it is that you do and
apply
it and make it better than you had made. So that's why they're there. They're very smart children. And that we want them to, we've built it to where they can follow in our footsteps and be very successful, but not to the point where you have to do this, right? If you find a passion in the world, by all means, follow that passion. But what we taught you is, do it to the best of your ability. We teach you to be diligent and to have discipline, all that stuff. So yes, indeed, the business way really, really, really works. And that was always my plan after I learned my lessons and financial personality. Oh, okay, great. Diversity, yes. And you could diversify inside diversity. It's weird. It's like the little Russian doll. But like you could have where somebody would say if gold was a part of your portfolio, right? But there's diversification inside of gold, right? So you got to diversify. So if stocks is a part of your portfolio, for sure there's diversity within the stock portfolio. So you got to diversify inside the diversity of your portfolio. Say real estate, you got to diversify your real estate. Do you have, like a one-family home, or you having like rental units, or you having some kind of units that are used for business? So you could diversify inside your real estate. So diversity is always important there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping you guys long. Let me get to these last two quick things, and then we'll get out of here, guys. We'll definitely get out of here Saturday night. You guys might want to get out, hit the scene and all that. I'm gonna go upstairs and what are we gonna go upstairs and do?
I'm going to sleep.
She's gonna go to sleep and watch some YouTube videos and laugh.
I'm going to rest.
She's going to rest. All right, this week we have these stories far too often. I'll read another one. $18,883 drained from Wells Fargo account. Bank says reimbursement not happening. Customer says she's leaving, right? This is from the Daily Hodl. The Daily Hodl, which is, definitely good. It's a good site. I like to use the Daily Hodl. So now she's not being reimbursed. Let's go over the story. We hear it too often. A Wells Fargo customer says she's done with the bank after an imposter posing as the lender drained $18,883 from her account. The Colorado resident, Melanie Sponsley, says she received an alert on her phone that appeared to be from Wells Fargo asking if she had made a large transaction, reports the NBC affiliated news station U News. She replied no and immediately received a phone call from someone pretending to be with the bank, claiming her accounts were compromised and that they would help her open a new one. After talking with the scammers, Sponley says she quickly began to worry she was being duped and raced to Wells Fargo. There's a branch, this is her speaking, there's a branch down the street from my house. I got on the phone, got in my car. 5 minutes later, I got off the phone. I walked in the branch. They were like, oh, I'm sorry. We don't have an appointment till 1. So also on the way to Wells Fargo, I called the bank 5 times. And every time I tried to ask for help, the call kept getting dropped. That happened 6 times. And, we've dealt with just calling for help and they will drop your call. Like after they have you wait, they'll be like, I'll transfer you, and it just drops. The bank refused to refund them. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the whole paragraph. Sorry, excuse me. Ultimately, the scammers stole all $18,883 via wire transfer. Wells Fargo contacted the corresponding bank and says that it clawed back $3,300 of it. The bank refuses to refund the rest. My expectation would have been when I asked for help to immediately help me, immediately take it seriously, and also that they would protect me, that they would back me up, they would fix it. When asked about the decision not to reimburse, Wells Fargo repeat what it told Sponsley. Wire transfers are usually irreversible, even if a customer reports the crime quickly. The bank has declined to answer specific questions about her case.
So I have a question though, because we've been seeing a lot of these.
Yes, no, too many.
I never hear what happens to the party on the other end. I don't hear they say, we figured out who fraudulently took the money from you and we persecuted or, we pursued charges. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like people are stealing the money and they're getting away with it.
I think that's how a lot of the sentiment is that they're not being punished. They're just getting away with it scot-free. So they said they contacted the bank and they know where the wire transfer went. Then they definitely know who received it, right?
Yeah, so why isn't it like that's illegal for you to do that? This woman is calling to file a complaint, mm-hmm. right? You impersonated a representative of the bank. I almost feel like we read so many of these and then I never read that there's any charges filed. Mm-hmm. Now, I did read that all of those people who were involved in the Chase Bank glitch,
yeah, those people took it.
You are going to be persecuted to the fullest extent of the law, but I don't hear that for all of these other cases.
No. Chase Bank wants their money back, so they're going after you.
It's long.
But when you got to fight for the customer, and this is why we say don't leave too much money in the bank. These banks aren't here to. You hear what she said? I thought they would help me and protect me. No way. Wells Fargo is not really here to help and protect you. Right? If they have a policy that they will not return money through a wire transfer, that might be something you would have to know. I'm very familiar with the policies of our bank. We run into trouble from time to time. We go out and they'll like double or triple charge your gas at the pump. And you go back, you see we charge 3 times for the gas, have to make a call, and they take care of it, right? It's not $18,000, of course, but they'll take care of it. Sometimes we go to the store, they'll stop our transaction because it's out of the norm of what we do, because we do things very normal. So every transaction kind of looks the same grocery store, same gas station. And then if you do something different, it looks weird. They'll put a stop on your card. So sometimes if we're going to do something different, we'll make a phone call to the bank, let them know we're going to be in a different place. We might be using different places just to give them a heads up, and they'll put a note in our account. But these banks aren't here. So she had $18,000 just sitting in her account, doing nothing. And I would assume that she probably was, I don't want to say older, okay? Would you assume that? Does that mean assuming to her? And a lot of older people, that makes them feel comfortable to see their money right there, right? But if you got $18,000, it shouldn't just be sitting in your account getting 0.25% interest. It should be working for you. It should be doing some work for you. If you're risk averse and you don't want to be in Bitcoin or something like that, put it somewhere that you feel could be safe. An index fund. I always say precious metals. Anything, that you feel would be safe, but it should just be sitting in your bank account doing nothing, for people to be able to look at your bank account and see that you have this amount of money and try to run a scam on you, right? We had somebody, I don't know what they did, but
that's summer jam tickets.
No, I'm talking about recently. That guy who he must have got a hold of our card number and he put it on Amazon Mexico.
No.
I don't know how that happened.
I'm telling you what happened.
What happened?
He had somehow gotten access to the cards that were stored on Amazon, because my card was on there and Sean's card was on there, and he kept trying both cards.
Yeah, he kept trying them like on every Tuesday for the same amount of money. And since we don't keep that much money on there, they kept getting declined. But we didn't want to.
No, they got declined because we've never ordered anything from Amazon.
But remember, it wasn't enough money for him. He was trying to take out like $200.
No, it was like $2,000, and so what are you doing?
And so the problem was, we didn't want to flag the cards as fraud because it's really hard to get a new card, right? So we would have had to flag her card and our son's card, and it takes it's a whole deal to get a hold of the card.
No money on there for like 3 months.
Yeah, so we just said, well, he's got to stop trying this card eventually.
And we gave Sean cash when he needed it.
So we worked around it. He stopped. We still gave it a grace period, so we still had the card. Chase will send a DHL to your house. Wells Fargo will not. So if you flagged it for that problem, you have to fly back to the United States, your home of record, and get it, and then come back, which is a lot to do to get a debit card. So, we just rolled it out like that. But yeah, man, everybody's looking over your accounts. Everybody's trying to get you. So we always say keep as little money as possible in these accounts, man. They are crazy, aren't they? Always.
Plus, the money's not productive in the checking account.
Oh, it's never productive there. Aren't they covered to 250,000 FDIC?
No, because she wired the money.
Yeah, she wired the money. She made the transaction.
So I think that's the loophole of not.
That's where the scam is. You have to make it, and then you can't even say you didn't make it. You say, yeah, I did make it, but, and it's like, well, we can't cover you then. So yes, sir, they are covered, and that goes also for the bank making mistakes, right? So yes, you're covered up to $250,000. But if they had just stolen it out of her account some way, they give it back, right? Yeah. But because she actually made the transaction, they say they can't give it back. They probably could. I mean, dang, but they just. Let me see here. This is Metaverse President. It's not that straightforward. Accounts can be fraudulently made by people in other countries. Yes, this is true. If you are a scammer, I'm sure on the other end, it's not as simple to get caught like it may seem, so that money might be moving boom, 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 and you can't even trace it, follow where it goes.
Well, they can follow it, but it went to Nigeria.
Yeah, it leaves it nowhere. Yeah, these guys are good at what they do. So yes, I do agree with that, Metaverse President. Last thing I'm going to talk about is really something, it's not anything, it's this thing I would like people to look at. It's called it's an event. It's called the Money Expo, right? So the Money Expo is a global thing that goes on in different. It's a conference that goes on in different parts of the world. And this 2025 Money Expo, the first Money Expo of 2025, will be here in Mexico City at the City Banamex Convention Center. And so what the Money Expo is it is a premier uniting banking, wealth management, payment gateways, traders, um, brokers, investors, financial institutions, dynamic trading, investing community, cryptocurrency, blockchain. So all these professionals come together to really network, faster connections, the latest market trends, financial insights. The event not only provides a unique networking opportunity, but facilitates interactions with industry leading service providers, fostering enhancements of skills, knowledge, investment, and strategy. And we're bringing this up because number one is here in our home city, so we'll definitely be attending. The four of us will be attending. Aaron, myself, and the two older boys will be attending. But also, we would like to put this opportunity to anybody out there who would like to attend. Now, this is February 26th and 27th. So about 4 months away, if I added that up right. And to register for the expo is free. So you can register, it is free, no charge of entry, no fee of entry. The only thing is for us would be our lodging, and anybody else would be lodging and your way to get there. And it is a great conference. This is a worldwide conference. They have one in Dubai. Let's go to the homepage. They have one in Qatar. Am I saying that right? Qatar. You guys know where it is. So that one is in Qatar. They have this one in Mexico City. They have one in Colombia, Bogota, Colombia, and like I said, they have the one in Dubai. So this goes around the different regions of the world, and it just lets people network about different ways, because people have different ways that they do things. If you're an investor, you might be a licensed financial advisor, you might be a broker, you might be a bank, so on and so forth. So you can come together and you might meet other people's needs, like, oh, ours needed this, I needed that. And it is a great expo. It has nothing but the greatest reviews. And it basically says pioneering financial futures with exclusive trading events. And if anybody would be interested in going to the one in Mexico City, that will be there. And we'll be there as sponsors as well. So you can go just as an attendee. We're going as sponsors. Some people are actually, if you are a large corporation or something like that, you could just come as a representative of the corporation, and so on and so forth. So yes, we will be there. And I just want people to keep this in their mind. I will send out this flyer, and I think it's a great opportunity to network. One of the big things in this community of finance and economics is networking with people, right? When you get online, you run into scammers and bullshitters, excuse my language, people who waste your time, right? Erin is real. She gets really, really upset when people waste her time. She gets. It annoys me, but I don't get that upset. But when you network with people who are official and stuff like that, you can actually get some things done, right? And just like the Bitcoin conferences, if you can get to them, I suggest trying to go to them. I've been trying to get to the last few. It just something comes up, but I make it a point to at least read up on it, find out what happened there. Sometimes they are on YouTube, so I watch the keynote speakers and things like that. But this is an event that's coming up within 4 months. I know Mexico City, but if you were thinking about taking a trip, maybe you could wrap it all in one. It's right down in the heart of Mexico. You said it, Hippodromo?
Yeah, Hippodromo. For those of you who are familiar with Mexico City, maybe an older Mexico City is Condesa.
Condesa, yeah. So
they had to change the name after the earthquake.
Yes, they
because
did.
Tourists were scared to travel and use the air, the market.
Yeah, market
So
changed
they changed the name so that tourists wouldn't know.
Yeah, so this is if you just look up moneyexpoglobal.com, the flyer will come up. That is moneyexpoglobal.com. So we'll be there. We'll be like hosting. If you let us know you're coming, we're definitely down to host, show you around, help you get to and from the airport, help you with lodging and showing you some of the better lodgings and the better places and things like that. We'll definitely be here with you every step of the way. If it was something you decided to do, if it was something you were interested in doing, we could definitely show you the better airlines, all kinds of stuff. We help you with all kinds of things. And so, let us know if that's something that you would be interested in. I'll bring this up from time to time to Money Expo, but it is a great place to network and hear about new projects, different things that are on the horizon. And, also for you to put your 2 cents in if you have some things on the horizon, projects, some business ideas that you have, some investment ideas. So it's just a way to get out there and, meet a lot of people. And so this is, just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention, February 26th to 27th, 2025. So it gives us a lot of time to prepare for it. Not like some of the things they just spring up on you and the cost is kind of heavy. But, this gives you a lot of time to chop away at it. And like I said, if you are, serious about it, you can, hit us up and we will help you in every way we can. Now, for example, the one that's in Qatar is on November 6th and 7th, right? 2024. So I guess that's coming up next week. So, that's very short notice to get the Qatar, but this website has been up. Colombia's dates have not been announced, but it'll be in 2025. And Dubai's dates have not been announced as well. So that's about all I got tonight. It actually went long, 1 hour and 46 minutes. That's crazy. It went back long because Aaron's here. She didn't hear that. Anyway, anybody got anything else? Or any other questions or comments? I'm just here. It's Saturday night. It's pretty boring. I watched a little college football, snuck off, watched some college football earlier this afternoon. So shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They pulled out a tough victory today against Penn State. As a tough one, but they got it done. And, that's all I came to see was Ohio State. So tonight, Aaron's going to sleep, but I guess I'll sit up and watch some YouTube videos and just be silly. So, all right, guys, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. So today's Saturday. I'll probably try to come back Wednesday. Wednesday seems like a good amount of time. And, but shout out and thank you for everybody who is coming. You definitely email us if anything, questions, concerns. Shout out to the big homie Les Square. I'm gonna be there Thursday. Night. So all right, so I'm gonna be there. We're gonna be ready. I don't know what I'm gonna do there though. I'm just gonna come and listen and learn. But I definitely will be there, sir. And we really appreciate everybody who comes. We appreciate every comment, opinion, question. We appreciate it all, family. This is like a community for Aaron and myself because we are in another country, and we try to help out here in this country as well. There is a language barrier, but we do have people that we will refer them to if it's too complicated. So we help in that way. But this is our way to help our community, and it's on through social media. But we're here. This is our community. We're here, and this is what we want to do. That's why we answer every email. We try to read every comment and do everything we can to bring you new information, insightful information, and things like that. So definitely thank all of you. And thank you all for coming. And I guess I will see everybody on Wednesday. Thank you.